Greetings, it's Vaygrim, back with another mod guide. In this particular episode, we're going to be getting the blood magic. Now, I have a veritable cornucopia of things laid out in front of me, and I will get to each one in time, in turn. But we are going to have to take this slowly but surely, one by one, because blood magic can be complicated and can even be dangerous if you don't get into it properly and you don't take the right precautions. So, let's get into the Tier 1 and Tier 2 sections of blood magic, shall we? Blood magic is by WayOfTime. It currently exists for Minecraft 1.6.4, and there are beta versions out for 1.7.2 as well, so it's worth taking a look at. WayOfTime is actively working on it and trying to get it updated and leveled out for 1.7.2, and yeah, I think it's going to be good. So I have various altars set up here. 4 different ones. There's actually a 5th one that should be behind that, but I haven't gotten to that yet because this episode is only focusing on Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's it. This is going to be the beginner parts of... This is basically going to be beginner blood magic. I'm going to get into intermediate blood magic later, Tiers 3 and 4, and I'll get into advanced blood magic later, Tier 5 and beyond. So I'm breaking it up to make it easier for each video to be referenced and to be used as kind of a clip notes when you're going through the game itself. I don't want to have one massive 2-hour video that you're going to have to sit there and slog through every time you want to find one tidbit. So here goes. Your adventures into blood magic are going to start with something called an altar that you're going to place into the world. The altar is basically 4 pieces of smooth stone, a furnace, diamond, 2 pieces of gold. You place it down just like this, and you're going to want to think carefully about where you place it. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to take myself off of survival mode here. I mean off of creative and back into survival mode. You're going to want to be careful exactly what you have around this and what area you have it in. And I'll show you why. When you get started, there's specific numbers of things that you want to actually make. But the first thing you're going to want to make is this thing right here. It's called a weak blood orb. And basically what you have to do, actually, after the altar and after a sacrificial knife, glass, iron ingot, gold ingot, then you need to make yourself, I'm just going to put that up there, get yourself a diamond. Now what this entails, basically, is get the diamond, right-click on the altar with it, and this is where the fun part begins. If you hold your dagger, this is the sacrificial knife, and you right-click, you'll see a little bit of blood goes in there. What that means is that as I am actually harming myself, my blood is going into the altar itself. Now, every stab of this sacrificial knife gives 200 200 life points, LP as it's referred to. 200 LP per, basically, heart. Now, here's the thing also. You'll notice there's a fluid level in that basin. You want to keep topped off. When you see those gray particles like that, when the smoke comes out the top of the item, you're losing progress that you've made on this item, and you want to be careful. Now, you'll hear every once in a while a noise. There it is right there. I have, if you see just to my left, a torch. That torch is a healing torch from Darkcraft. I also have regeneration. Should be happening over here. I might have those things set up wrong. But you're going to want to make sure you have a couple of different sources of healing at your disposal, specifically because you're literally in the early stages harming yourself. Now, you pick this thing up, you right-click it, and it binds it to you. And basically, this thing becomes a part of your network, and it stores life points in your blood network, as it were. Now, these are all concepts you'll get used to as you go along. The next thing you're going to want to make is called a Divination Sigil. The Divination Sigil is glass around a blank slate. and you use your weak blood orb. Now, let's pull the weak blood orb off. The blank slate is actually pretty easy. This is one of the reasons why I have this chest of materials in this, for this tier. In order to get everything in this tier, you need everything right here. You need, I already used 1 diamond, so it's 2 diamonds, 9 glass, 1 magma cream, 9 buckets of lava, 7 buckets of water, a couple of stacks of stone, 2 pieces of obsidian. That will give you everything with tier 1. So what you do is just get a couple of these, smooth stone, right-click one in there, and then you are going to start filling it up again with blood. 200 life points per heart, and you get a slate. I'm going to put another one in there. And this is a little time consuming, but the beginning stages of this are usually the hardest. There's another one right there. Empty hand. I'm gonna eat a little bit before I hurt myself too much. There we go. There's another one. So that's basically how that goes, one at a time. You get those and use them for other things. So, 1 slate with some glass and your orb. Now, this blood orb is not used in the actual recipe. It's not consumed in the recipe. Let me phrase it that way. This blood orb actually is given back to you when you actually use it. So, actually, we should put that right there. Put that right there. I have my Divination Sigil. Right-click. And you'll notice it says I have 1755 life points somewhere in my network. If I look right now, the altar has a capacity of, let's see, 10,000 LP, life points. And that's the current total capacity. And it's got 231 in it. 230 life points in it. It's a tier 1 altar. So basically there's a little bit of blood in there that you can actually use. Well, one thing you're going to want to do is make a lot of slates, probably at least 1 stack of stone you're going to want to turn into these blank slates. And some of them you're going to use for these, like the water sigil. The water sigil is actually quite nice, quite useful. Every time you get one of these, by the way, you're going to want to right-click it in the air to bind it to you. The water sigil is, I believe, 100 life points for a bucket of water. That's basically infinite water. There is the lava sigil, which gets you 1,000 life points, bucket of lava. Now, all of these are fueled by the blood that is in your blood network. If you look right now, I have just 655. So, we put that in there, and we are charging blood into our blood network. You'll notice this should slowly drain out. Yeah, gotta be careful, or you can kill yourself with magic very, very quickly. So now, we have 1401. Yeah. I'm actually going to keep that on hand. Let's do that so we can actually keep getting healed up. The final step that you want to make with all of this is you want to get your weak blood orb, a couple of buckets of lava, 3 of them to be exact, a diamond, 2 obsidian, 2 pieces of glass. You're going to make a lava crystal. The lava crystal you can actually get, you just right-click and bind it to yourself. And it uses life points to fuel, almost like charcoal. You can stick it in furnaces. You can even put it in dynamos from thermal expansion. Is it the compression dynamo? Uses water and coal? Can't remember. But basically, you can use this as a fuel source. The problem is, though, you're using life points every time it smelts something. Uses 25 per. So you're going to be careful about this. 25 every time this drops out and it hits the lava crystal again. but this is very useful. You can dot these about your base, and you can not have to worry about consuming coal anymore. You're just going to have to be careful about your life points. So, that is very, very cool. I definitely like that lava crystal. Very handy. Let's put that back there. This is all the tier 1 stuff. Now, here's something you're going to want to do. Let's see. 19 blank slates. You need 19 blank slates specifically for... There's 1, 2, 3 consumed right there. The other 16 are used in these blocks right here for the tier 2 altar. Basically, with the tier 2 altar, you raise it up a little bit. Let me get that off. The tier 2 altar is basically 8 blocks in a little square. And you put your altar raised up just above the center. There's nothing underneath this middle block right here. So, this is bigger in terms of like the amount of space that it required, but there's upgrades that you can do to this. This is not where it stops. It gets better. Basically, when you start looking at the higher tiers of altars, I've got this redstone stretched out. Each one of these is a specific place that can be upgraded later. This stone here, this stone here, this stone, these can all be upgraded with runes. These are blood rune blocks that you're going to want to make, first of all. Blood rune blocks are very, very specific. Do I have these anywhere? No, I don't. Blood rune blocks are 2 blank slates, 6 stone, and then you use your weak blood orb, which of course gets given back to you. That is why I have 16 of these, because you need 8 blocks and it's 2 slates per block. So 16 blank slates just to get this so you can make your altar a tier 2 altar. If I right click on this, you'll notice it says in text, this is with the Divination Sigil, Altar's current tier 2. Now I'm going to actually get this, bind it to me, put it back in there. Now I have 2985 for my life points on the Blood Network. So what we can do now, this is all tier 2 stuff, and this is where it starts getting a little crazy. Tier 1, you have to be careful, because the only way that you can actually get in blood into your Blood Network is with the sacrificial knife. Well, that changes a little bit with the step up. Here's all of the stuff, quick snapshot, to make every upgrade, every sigil that you can make. And some people do pronounce them sigils. I actually do not know what the proper pronunciation for that word is, but I pronounce it sigil. It's probably a southern Texas thing. But anyway, all of the sigils and all the little upgrades and tools, this is what you need. 1 emerald, which you put into your altar and you upgrade into your apprentice orb. That takes 5,000 blood points. Now, I'll show you. The first one only takes 2,000. This one is a lot harder to do, but you only have to do it once, and then stuff gets a lot easier. So that's what that emerald is for. You need an iron sword, an iron axe, an iron pickaxe, iron shovel. Another stack of stone would be a good idea. A gas tier, 6 feathers, 4 oak saplings, 3 sugar cane. Let's see, glowstone dust, gold ingots, and some buckets. This is everything to get through that. Now, basically, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Now that you get to tier 2, you have options. Option number 1. Let's see. We have 2985. If I'm standing here, actually, let's go ahead. And you see I'm standing near this altar, so it knows I'm putting blood into it. Now here's the thing. I'm actually increasing my efficiency with this altar over the default, specifically because I'm just gonna risk it. You gotta be real careful. Now I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough. It takes more than twice what the other one takes, which is why you really do have to have a healing solution if you want to do this. It's not easy. And every time you see that gray smoke, you start losing progress. Yep, see? That's what happens. So we go over here now. Let's recover our stuff. There we go. Hopefully we didn't lose too much of our progress. Now, I do not advise to do it this way. It is kind of reckless. But, there we go. That's 5,000 points. It's not easy. It really isn't. And you do have to be careful. I've killed myself a number of times doing this because I wasn't paying attention. Just going to pull this out, right-click. Now, if you'll notice, all that blood that is in there is going into, it's draining out of the bowl and into our blood network because this orb is absorbing it. And it is still going up. Now, okay, that's empty. It's got 4850 in it. So, as it stands right now, the altar itself still has a capacity of 10,000 life points. That is fixed. So what's the difference between that orb and this orb? That's the thing, is that basically these things have a limit to the amount of life points they can store in them. This only holds 1,000 life points. That's it. That's why it's called a weak blood orb. This one holds 25,000. And that makes it so much easier to do so much stuff. Now, oh gosh. You'll notice I put some blood into that, and 5,000, 6,000. This holds so much more than that one does, and it makes your life a lot easier. It makes it easier to keep blood in your blood network when using your lava crystal or using any of your sigils. Otherwise, each time you use one of those, except for the Divination Sigil, that's the only one that's free. These other two, those cost, that's 100 LP per use, 1,000 LP per use for lava. You really got to be careful. 25 LP per smelt with the lava crystal. So this makes life a lot easier already, but then there's a couple of different ways you can go. Once you make this and you've got the life for it, you're going to want to make some more blank slates so you can craft these. Basically, when you put a slate, let's get a piece of stone here. Put that right there. And let's just be reckless and put a whole bunch in there right away. There we go. Now we gotta wait. This is a tier 2 altar, which means that we actually have a tier 2 slate that we can make. And you just let it sit in there a little bit longer. You keep feeding it blood. And there we go. We get a reinforced slate right there. Put your blood orb back in there, and that blood will go straight into your network. So you're going to have to make some more of these slates. Now, here's the thing that you can, here's the decision point. You could make, let me think, 8 of these and some glowstone to make self-sacrifice runes, or 8 of those in gold ingots to make sacrifice runes. Well, what's the difference, Vaygrim? I will tell you what the difference is. Self-sacrifice, if you replace these stones, like I have right here, with runes of self-sacrifice, each one of these gives an extra 20 LP when you stab yourself. So, that means that instead of getting right here, instead of getting 200, I'm getting 280. That is an extra 20, 40, 60, 80. So it's 280 per stab, but that still means you have to risk your own health. The other option, I'm just going to put those in there, is to make a Dagger of Sacrifice. Now, this is a little more complicated. Use this in conjunction with Runes of Sacrifice. What this does, it's the same way. You replace these 4 sides with a Rune of Sacrifice, but you have to have monsters directly over it. So what I'm going to do, if you notice, I've got 8570. And, oh, I need it. Silly me. Not absorbing that. There we go. This should go up to 90. Oh, I think I still had some in there. I had to kill a couple of skeletons. Let's watch that drain out and see what we get. Basically, when you use this and you have a monster directly near, either one block adjacent or on top of the actual altar, you left click once and I just play peekaboo with them a little bit. In no time, you actually have what is approaching a full blood network. You can get a lot of blood very, very quickly, but here's the hitch. You gotta have monsters. Sometimes you get some stuck in the corners. So, this thing only does this much damage to a monster when you're directly next to your altar. It only gives you blood for them if you actually have them almost on top of the altar. So what I did was basically, I built this little box. You can see 16,000. We're going to approach 17,000 real quick. There it is. I just have this little box made out of dark glass from Extra Utility so you can see what's inside of it. There is a skeleton spawner right there. And the muffler so I don't have to listen to them. And I just have this little box right here so I can peek in, step out. Works like a charm. I really do like this setup. That means basically if you use this, you don't have to worry about stabbing yourself anymore. All you have to worry about is keeping a steady supply of things to sacrifice. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can do monsters, which is 500 life points per kill. You could do livestock and animals. That is 250 per kill. Or there's villagers, which is 2,000 life points per kill. But there's a downside to villagers. Actually, a downside I don't even know. So, the downside is very, very dangerous, apparently, for sacrificing villagers. They're 2,000 life points a pop, but that's a pretty dangerous road, I think. So, this is right here. Tier 2 is where things start to pay off. This is where it gets a little better, a little easier. You just build yourself a box, put your orb on top of it, right like this, in front of your altar. And this is how you start fueling it. You just go find yourself a monster spawner from somewhere. Like you could find your monster spawner in the normal dungeons that are actually put in the game by Vanilla. You could find them if you have Resonant Rise or the Augscast Complete Pack. They have Choco Quest. You can get monster spawners from there. Twilight Forest has monster spawners. Witchery adds witch spawners, and witches are great because they heal themselves. Long term they are. So there's a lot of options to get monster spawners. You could use a teleposer from Blood Magic itself, which we'll go into in later video. Ender Porter, Force Wrenches, cardboard boxes, the Diamond Dolly from Java. You have a lot of options for moving this monster spawner. Now, I have skeletons in here because skeletons are inherently more dangerous in my mind. Skeletons shoot back. So if you don't have things set up just right, then you can end up very, very quickly with low health because monsters are shooting at you. Just make sure when the monster drops down, you want to back up a little bit so they don't swat you. Because if it's a zombie, they will. So, zombie spawners, skeleton spawners, spiders, whatever the case may be. If it's spiders, you do have to make this hole 2 by 2. Just make sure you have some blocks underneath it so they don't drop out behind your altar, but otherwise it's fine. And a little bit of planning, a little bit of forethought, and you can use this to get fuel into your altar. Charge it up with your sacrificial dagger, and you'll get a full blood network in no time. You notice we're at 20,170 just with a few monsters and a skeleton spawner. It's a real nice system, and I really do advise you at least look into it. See, I can lure these guys in here real quick, and as long as I've got this one block here, they can't hit me. So that is how I choose to start. This is how I chose to approach blood magic when I got into it on the Resonant Rise server. This is what I did with the help of Poppycox. He informed me about all of this. So you have a couple of options. You could do that way, or you could do it this way and do self-sacrifice and keep stabbing yourself. Problem is, as you noticed, you really want to make sure and have some healing solutions that you have, be it potions, healing torches from Dartcraft, whatever the case may be. You're going to want to have something topped off and a pretty big supply of food at your disposal too. That's why I like this method a lot better. I just go with the box. It's built directly on top of the blood altar. It's got this one little spot where the monsters can drop down, right like that. And this is the only problem. Sometimes what I've actually had to do, oh, come here, is actually use fans on the sides to push them into this hole. Fans in the back corners that aim in this direction work really, really well for pushing the mobs, and then you just get them all collecting right here. It's a very good way to do it. So yeah, now you do have more sigils at your disposal. At the first one, you have water and lava, and then you have the lava crystal, and this one you have a lot more. First one I'd like to go over is the Void Sigil. The Void Sigil is actually very cool. Basically, just gonna right-click bind that. You just get 6 buckets, another one of those reinforced slates, and some string. Put your apprentice blood orb in there. Again, it is not consumed. You get that back. And what you end up with is the Void Sigil. Well, what it does is for a little bit of life points, it basically erases fluids. It voids liquids. Lava, water, oil, poison, whatever, it makes it go away. It's very useful for adventuring when you're going way down deep on a spelunking trip and doing some mining, and you run across a giant pool of poison or something. That's a really good way to get rid of it real quick. But every click does use a little bit of your life points, so be careful about that. Now, there's also the Sigil of Air. This is where you can hurt yourself. You see, I took a little bit of impact damage because I don't have anything with Featherfall or anything to reduce fall damage. But basically, this lets you fly. Ow. It doesn't do anything about the fall damage now. So, 6 feathers, a gas tier. That's going to be one of the harder ones. Another reinforced slate, and reuse your apprentice blood orb again. That nets you the air sigil. It's very useful. It travels you real quick, but it uses a little bit of blood from your life points in order to get you there. It is super useful, though. Now, there is the Sigil of the Fast Miner. Basically, what this does is it gives you a haste buff. Now, I actually have haste from one of these beacons, but this gives you a haste buff you can turn on and off for every second that you have it running. It uses a little bit of life points, so you're going to want to make sure and watch that. Keep your Divination Sigil very, very handy. I'll turn that on, and you'll notice that every once in a while, it's going to use a little bit of a tick. Because we went down by 100 there, just turning it on. I think if I turn it on again, yeah, see, it went down 200 that time. So you do have to be careful with that. Oh, you'll notice, by the way, the little picture on the slate itself in my right hand lights up when it's on. You can also see activated, deactivated. The icon changes a little bit and it lights up in your hand. It's a really good system. Now, this one is amazing. Sigil of the Green Grove. You'll see this one lights up as well. What this does is it is Bonemeal on steroids. You just get some saplings. Does not have to be oak saplings. Other saplings will work. 3 sugarcane, reinforced slate. Use your blood orb again, and then after this, put it back into your altar. And what this thing does is, I think I put them right here. You just get some saplings. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. Right-click, and it acts like Bonemeal, or just turn it on and stand nearby, and all plants around you, you see that little sparkle? will start growing faster and faster and faster. Yeah, see? This thing is amazing. For quick tree farms, you just turn it on and off real fast, and you have yourself an industrial amount of wood. It is very, very handy. I love this so much. The air sigil is great flight for early game, but you really do need to make sure you either have some featherfall boots or some free runners from mechanism or something to kill that fall damage, because you will kill yourself if you stop at the wrong point, way up, and just drop. So be careful. This is pretty much everything for Tier 1 and Tier 2. Now, for Tier 2, I tell you to make 40 stacks. 40 blank slates. The reason I tell you to make 40 blank slates is to do the next upgrade. But we're going to tackle that in the next video. This has been Tier 1 and Tier 2 getting started with blood magic. I really do hope you guys have found this useful. I hope it has been educational for you so you know and you're not as daunted about having to go through. A lot of people think that the only way through is using this sacrificial knife until you get to the higher levels. A lot of people don't realize you can do this Rune of Sacrifice and the Dagger of Sacrifice. That is a much better route. I like it a lot more. Let's see real quick. We have 18,870. And that's going to go up. I think it's going to be... There you go. 19,570. You get a little bit of an efficiency bonus for every creature you kill for every one of these. I think it's 10% increase. So yeah, these are very much worth it when you start doing. Now that does mean you could just make this and have all normal blood runes and you get 500 per. This is giving you a little bit of a boost above the 500 mark. I think it comes out to either 550 points or somewhere thereabouts. When you have 4 of these, 540 points, I think it is, something along those lines. So basically you get a big boost with these, but you don't have to use them. You could just make this, and it's a really good starter point. As soon as you get a Tier 2 altar, you make one of these and go find yourself a monster spawner, or use livestock and breed them and herd them in. It's not real hard. It's just going to be a little bit slower than monsters. So, this is Vaygrim signing off. I will actually be back, probably next week, with another episode where we can get into intermediate blood magic, Tier 3 and 4. Until next time, thank you very much for swinging by. I appreciate you spending your time watching my video. Bye.